And so you have the success of the pilot, and you filmed the first few episodes, and about probably half the time, wasn't it? Then you had, per episode, per hour.
Oh.
Then for the pilot.
Oh yeah.
And so
normally a show takes from 8 to 10 days to film, and that's working days. We get the weekends off, but they're long working hours, especially for the crew. But in the beginning, all the supporting actors, all of us work on call. We would be there all day because they never knew when they needed us in the beginning. Now it's down to a science. They have it all, mapped out. You come in on this day and you do these many scenes and then you go home. But in the beginning, they didn't know if they were going to use this in the background or, whatever. And it was long hours and it was wonderful.
Now, I believe when the first episode was aired, CBS put up Chicago Hope, which was still another fabulous drama, but I think totally different from ER.
It was the old-fashioned way of doing it. And it was a great show. And it's sad that they had to compete. That's what I hate about TV. They have one show and they want to compete, with the time slot with another good show. And one wins out and the other good show goes away. And that's just not right.
Now, was there a lot of anxiety among the cast of ER and yourself about what would happen?
We knew we had something by then. No, we knew we were on it.
And so, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, throughout your time with ER, you've gotten to work with many, many guest stars on the shows, such as Alan Alda, Rosemary Clooney, Sally Field, Bob Newhart, the list goes on and on. Is there perhaps one guest star that you enjoyed working with the most? I know that's probably a really hard question, but...
No, I love Don Cheadle. You didn't say he. Don Cheadle was on for a few shows.
Okay, yeah.
And Alan Alda was fabulous. He was just a very... nice to everybody, and basically, MASH is sort of kind of like ER in essence,
the camaraderie.
Yeah, and so here we have Alan Alda for a long time and on the show. Of course, Rosemary Clooney. They got so many stars on the show, and just working with the cast alone, right, for me was great. We just had a good time in the beginning years.
Now, I think that the Alan Alda's guest slot on the show there for, I don't know, what was it, 5 or 6 episodes?
Yeah.
Those are probably some of my favorite episodes. I think one of the greatest ER scenes was that final time when his character enters the trauma room to save one last patient with a diagnosis that no one else can think of, and everyone's just kind of awestruck. I think that's one of the truly great scenes, that gets to the heart of what ER is all about.
Exactly. Yeah, and I agree. I love that time with him. He was really good.
And now you're in the 15th and final season of ER, correct? 15 years later.
Yeah. Woo.
And now I'm a dedicated ER fan, as you've probably figured out by now. But seen just about every episode. But it is my opinion that some of the best scenes on ER this season have involved you in it. Some of the best episodes, and particularly ones that come to mind are the Maura Tierney episodes. Yeah. And
I love Maura. I'm just, I was hoping she'd get back here. I don't know if she's coming in, to do the show again, because it's always a secret around here.
Sure.
They've already shot George Clooney's stuff, and but it was a secret. They got him in here, and I'm not in any of his scenes, so I didn't even know. But I'm in the show. Mm-hmm. But they had already shot all the stuff, and nobody even knew.
I think that last scene that you had, it was really one of Maura's last scenes in the show.
It was.
With you. That was, again, one of the greatest scenes. It was just so touching, and you just acted that out so beautifully. It seemed like it was a real-life goodbye, and I it probably was to some extent. I mean,
it was. It was. Really, truly was. I really love Maura.
And then
I haven't seen her. So I'm going to email her. So where are you?
I bet she's out there working on a new project somewhere.
I'm sure.
And another episode, of course, that stands out, you probably knew I'd be getting down to this one, is Heal Thyself.
Okay.
Which was the Anthony Edwards return.
Oh, yeah, we went back in time.
When he came back as Mark Green, not alive from the dead, but back in time. And you were very... you had a very prominent role in that episode and in that scene. It was... Yeah,
because I was, back in time with him. And if you notice the haircut.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, Haleh even had her old haircut back in the episode. And so, what was it like to work with Anthony Edwards again?
Just as wonderful. It just like clicked. It just clicked. He hadn't been doing it for a while, and he was like, "Oh, right, I remember this." And these long hours on the legs and on the feet.
And so, I mean, he looked like he hadn't changed at all. It was like
he hadn't.
They froze Mark Green in time and then put him back to work again.
He looked good. I mean, but it's not. When the show started out, everybody was pretty young.
Yeah.
So now, and he's been busy. He also produces and he directs and, he does all kinds of stuff. Now, he was in a couple other movies recently. And and he's got a great family that, he didn't have until the show, started. Everybody's got families now. Kids. Houses.
So do you remember your reaction when you first read the script to that episode with Tony Edwards?
First off, I knew he was coming back, and my thing is, okay, how are they going to bring him back?
You were skeptical.
Yeah. Well, but I'm not. I'm not a writer for ER. They're coming up with some good stuff. There's many more stars are hitting the show, and I am not. I can't talk about it. Okay, they really freak out on us. They do. I mean, somebody came and somebody, exposed some of the show that they didn't want anyone to expose. I think it was viewed last week. That was with who was starring in that? Fargo. The guy starred in Fargo.
Oh,
have they aired that yet?
I don't think so. The last the last episode was the return of William H. Macy, I believe.
That's it. He did Fargo.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
and
sure, he was there.
Going back into the 60s and all, I think. I haven't seen it because I TiVo'd it.
That was a great episode.
Yeah.
Too.
But somebody let out the bag that this was going to happen, and so they're like just wanting the secrecy so they can let all these, because they got some more major people coming through. And I really can't say who, but I'm like totally impressed that I'm on this show. So I'm like, wow, they're going to do what?
And you see, it seems like almost every other day there's some kind of article being published online and in the papers about what ER's up to next, people speculating, and I know Noah Wiley's been quoted a lot.
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful. Shot his stuff.
I wonder how many of those so-called leaks are planned, or some are just they happen, by accident, or...
Well, that happens just like me running my mouth right now. I mean, sometimes you get a leak. But there was one really bad leak, and they didn't want us to bring camera phones or anything like on the set anymore because somebody came on the set and took pictures, and I think it was on YouTube, and the pictures weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So, it happens. This is, paparazzi country out here.
So I was wondering, could you please tell us maybe just a little bit about your character, Nurse Haleh Adams, for those who do not watch the show?
I am your, not a typical nurse, but, the nurse. I know my job. I'm very no-nonsense, but sometimes I do make mistakes. I have humor. I get angry. I'm usually there to push the doctors or turn the story. You don't know much about my character. They were going to bring me out, about 6 years ago, but they decided that I wasn't going to become a star.
Oh, no.
I know. I was hoping, but, so that's why you don't know anything about my family or my problems. Every kind of problem I have as a character is always dealing with one of the doctors or the ER.